Hello everyone. How's today going? Cool. Um, yeah, moving is exciting. When I was a fellow, we were in the floor upstairs, and it was really exciting to move to a much better place like this one. And I'm sure that other place is gonna be even better. So that is a theme we pursued every improvement um, over every iteration. So that's good. Cool. So today, before you can start coding on your projects, uh, we need to show you how to collaborate with Git and GitHub, how to have um, different branches that you can use to develop your code, and then how to combine those branches. Um, Cool. So these are some of the objectives that we want to do: is like how to collaborate, learn about Git branching, what that means, how to create pull requests, which actually you already know, how to merge or combine code. Actually, I want to put some words out in the board here. When we're gonna see some Git words that are pull, merge. When you hear these words, think combine. And cool. So I was actually trying to make this a little bit hands-on. So let's just, I guess, let me explain what we're going to do. So we're going to, in the teams that you are assemble, we're going to sort of simulate a tiny project that every one of you will code a piece of it. This project is creating a very simple math module that will have a function to add, another one for subtract, another one for multiply, and another one for dividing two numbers. Each one of the I'll say first assemble into your team, or make sure you're at least close to each other that you can talk. Coding involves talking.
I mean, if I was like this is what I'd be.
That would be a curse.
Cool. So for this module, this project that we're going to be working on, pick one team member to create a GitHub repo. So you will be known as the repo owner. You are the repo owner. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have more responsibility. You are just, the repo must be under a user. That's just the thing. So what we're gonna do first is one of you will create a GitHub repo. Then you will add your teammates as collaborators to that GitHub repo, and then you can start working. You can start coding. So everyone picked who's going to be creating the repo. This you will do like now. This you will do for Capstone and any other team project you're going to be working on. So, okay, everyone has their chosen. It doesn't really matter who it is in the team.
Do you think this is stream worthy?
Say that again.
Do you think this is stream worthy?
I am recording. I'm gonna upload it later. Yeah, I think it is. Also, to pull up this document that is on your Canvas calendar under the GitHub branching event. Here, GitHub branching. In the month view, it will be Git branching tutorial. So that you can have this document to follow along. So I'm just going to remove my GitHub repo that I was doing so that I do it again with you. Cool. Okay, so everyone has their chosen one. Go to that person, only that person, go to github.com and create a new repo. So in here, I'm just going to click on this plus, new repository. Everyone else, just pay attention. Only one person is doing this for now. So create a new repo. I'm going to call mine my math module. Make sure it's public, and then create repo. So this is how we can create a GitHub repo sort of from scratch. Now we have a GitHub repo, but that is only on GitHub's computers. We want to have our local repo too, and then we're going to connect it. So let's look at here. Yeah, so we created a GitHub repo with that name. You want to take note of the URL of your repo, the one that GitHub gives you. That URL is known as the remote URL. That is a URL that looks like this, git at GitHub, or https github.com and ending in .git. So in here, in the one that I created, my URL is this one. You probably have a very similar URL, just with your name here instead of mine, right? So copy that URL, because we're going to use it next. So this gives you some instructions here. We're sort of going to follow a mix of this. So for creating, now we want to create a local repo. So I'm going to go to maybe my home folder. Maybe I'm going to do this on, yeah, just my home folder. So far, everyone has a GitHub repo. They're seeing this screen. Cool. So now what I want to do is I want to create a folder to make it a local repo and then connect it to this one on GitHub. So for that, we can do, to create a local repo, we do these steps, which is first create a folder. I'm going to do make there my math module. It is sort of standard to have the same name that you picked for your GitHub repo be the name of your folder in your local repo. So first create a folder, then cd into that folder, and then initialize a Git repo with git init. Then we have an empty Git repo, a local Git repo. So we have two repos now. One is local in our computer, doesn't have any relationship to the one in GitHub. The other one is in GitHub, on GitHub's computer. But what we want is sort of synchronize them or sync them. We do that by saying, oh, I want this local repo to be sort of connected to the remote repo on GitHub, and we do that with this next line, git remote add, so let me do that here, git remote add origin, and then we paste the URL that you got from GitHub. So we do that, hit enter. Let me know if you got an error or anything else that was nothing. So to verify that you actually created it, do git remote -v. You should see two lines like this, where this is sort of saying this local Git repo points to the one on GitHub. This is how we are able to upload code to GitHub, because we connect a local folder that is a Git repo with a remote one that is on GitHub's computers. Cool. Everyone got this? Cool. Let's see. If you didn't get this, make sure to check with your teammates to see if they can help, or I guess I can stop by. Let's take some students to verify.
Cases and whatnot. This is gonna be nice. Give the pizza nuggets. 9 o'clock. Here, next time. This is a low key. Low key good team, bro. Let me also find really good trash.
Very deep. This is Chicago. It's all fake and that shit. You know, my face got a hot like the Lakers.
To be honest, I'll find those Chicago because Allie has already Zach, Magic, Kobe. If you're Chicago, who the hell is it besides Jordan and Scotty?
He was better.
It's my Mickey history.
Just like the
He's 37 almost, so it doesn't matter if you know.
Okay, so now you have successfully linked your local repo with your remote repo. So when you do git push, what's going on is that your code is going from your computer to that other repo on GitHub. Cool, so the next thing is let's create, so we're gonna have our main file is going to be called index.js. Yes. On which part? That's it.
You better stay out this whole year. This is my next day. What week of the year? He's not going to work of the year. He's much better. No, that's smart. That's how you increase your value. No, you still increase your resume though. But it's not the case. You need hype to sell sneakers.
So what we're going to do is every one of these functions that we want to create, we're going to be working on separate files. And then our entry point or our main file is something going a file called index.js, where we're going to be sort of combining our functions. So in your local repo, create a file with the name index.js, and then add this content to it. Add this. So I'm going to do that. Now open this. I'm going to open the entire folder with VS Code. Let's add some zoom here. Oops. Have to open my file, index.js, and paste this content there. Paste that content there and save. So let's look at what we have here. We have is sort of a small description, the name of our module, what it's good for in a comment, and then we have an object under a name math, and so far it has one property pi, and it has the number pi, which is a mathematical constant. And lastly, is just exporting the math object. Cool. So here is where we're going to be later on adding our functions. But we're going to code those functions on separate files. We don't want to code those functions in this file because then we're going to have something called merging conflicts, where let's say I code the sum function on line 7, and then let's say Owen codes the multiply function also on line 7. Then Git is going to get confused once we try to combine our code, saying, oh, there's 2 different things on line 7. I don't know which one goes first. That is what is known as a merge conflicts. You are going to have them, just don't be scared. So cool. So once you have that, everyone has their index file, has something on it. Cool. Let's do git status just to see that we have now an untracked file. We have an untracked file, index.js. Everyone seeing this? Cool. What we want to do is we want to ask Git to keep track of this file. How do we do that? Git add dot or period. This dot means add everything in the current folder. Dot is the current folder. You could also just say git add index.js if you wanted to add only one file. In this case, it doesn't really matter. We can add everything that is in the current file. And now if we do git status again, we see that that file is being kept track of by Git. Let's commit the file to sort of take a snapshot of the file or everything that is what is known as stage. Everything that we add and is in green here, we say that is all those files are stage for commit, right? So let's do git commit-m to add a message, and I open quotes. Let's say my math module start file. Everyone get this? One file change 11 insertions, or something similar. This is Git telling you, oh, cool, I took a snapshot of this file in case you ever want to go back to it. Cool, okay. So then what you'll probably do right after you git commit, you end up pushing most of the time, right? Because you committed something, you want to upload that to GitHub. So for pushing that, we're going to do git push -u origin master. Cool. So hit enter, and this is pushing, is uploading your files to GitHub. Let's take 2 minutes to verify that everyone is on this page and was able to upload their code to GitHub.
Yes, sure.
When we use these origins, where we can have multiple oh yeah.
It's shrimp and chickpeas, right? Pure protein. Only fiber too. Yeah, they don't eat not bad. It's they're gonna take unintentionally because they're honest. Which one is gonna fix it? What was his use like what is it? This like
You have initialized with that read.
Yeah, Max. Spurs are good this year too.
I think you're going to see a lot. I think maybe we'll have to share.
You should spectate.
But everybody else on this page. If you go to GitHub now to the GitHub page for that repo and you refresh the page, do you see the code that we just uploaded? You just see index.js and content. Remember that these steps are only one team member is somebody else. So, if you're up with this, just all of you keep reading the README. I will say don't read it, but don't execute it. We go all on the same pace. But just read it so that you know what we're going to be doing next.
Oh, that? Wow, because of Chris. What's the name called?
George Foreman. You're not the first one that said that. That's what
I think it's for the drinking Josh. It's for the drinking Josh. Drinking Josh. What's
George Foreman.
what's the shit I said before? Yeah.
You're the second person I got.
See, look at that shit. It was an episode. That's awesome. Drinking Josh, the Gary movie.
That's what.
You've been fucking since then? I still lived alone.
I can't make like recipes and stuff like that. It takes too long. Yeah. 6 hours is long. Usually I'm just
Your mom makes that? You gotta do what you gotta do. I'm telling you, the best vegetable is usually the first one is like South Asian. They put mad seasoning on it, like our people.
Well, I mean, like, you don't want to like restaurants
It's not bad. It's not
What
bad.
were your names?
It's not bad.
That's why it tastes good.
Cool. So everyone was able to see their code once you refreshed your equivalent to this page. You should see now that you have an index.js and the content of your file is there. Just double check that you are seeing your code on GitHub. Cool. Now, the next step is, cool, once we have that, then the next step is inviting your teammates. So for inviting your teammates, this is all in the README. You're going to go here to the settings tab on your repo. Make sure again that this is only being followed by one team member. Go to settings. And then in here you'll find the collaborators link on the left menu. You go there. And then here you start typing your teammates' usernames. So in my case, let's say I'm going to collaborate with JR. His username is just John Ray Zhang. And then I hit add collaborator. Now JR received an email for him to join this GitHub repo and collaborate with me. So do that for every single one of your teammates. Make sure that you share your usernames with them so that they can add you as collaborators.
So everyone added them already? Who's not done with the collaborators yet? You guys fly. That's beautiful. Cool. So everyone received the invitation. Everyone accepted the invitation.
Now make sure that you accept the invitation. If you don't, then you're not gonna have access to the repo. It shouldn't say as it says here, awaiting for a response. It should say nothing, just like this. Cool. So now, yes, question.
Who do the collaborators see other people on there?
Say that again.
Like I don't think I have the same access as
You mean like here? What do you see when you're in the collaborators part? Let's see.
Am I looking at
You don't have access to change the settings. They will be seen as contributors.
How do I see
So you were added as collaborators. You can add code, you can push code, you can modify code, but you are not the repo owner. So you cannot remove the repo. You cannot add other contributors. Only the repo owner can do that. They are still the repo owner. So if you're a collaborator, you're not gonna see this tab here, settings, and that's fine. Cool. So once we have that, then make sure that everyone has the link to their team members' GitHub repo. Cool. So I mean this link, a URL to GitHub, where this is not your name but your team member name or the owner of the repo. Cool. So once you have that, make sure you go to the main page. So in this case, for this example, I'm gonna go to Alexander's, which I think is scripter 12. So for instance, this is Alessandro. Let's say I'm part of Alessandro's team. You should be seeing this page, her repo. Everybody is able to see their repo owner. Did you share that URL with him? Yeah, and click on that URL and that should be it. So here we're not going to fork. We're not going to fork. Please don't fork. And we're going to talk about when do we fork and when we don't. Are you you will see them in here. Collaborators.
That's okay. That's a big deal. Big deal.
Do you remember if you created your GitHub account with your push email or without? Oh, that one, check.
Cool. So far we have been forking repos, right? And so there's two main ways in which you collaborate on GitHub. One is if you're working with a team and you are working as a team building a product, you will be most likely be added to whatever repo you're working on as a collaborator. That means you have access to push code directly and so on. When you are not part of a team but want to contribute to open source, that is mostly when you fork. You fork when you, for instance, I contributed to the Airbnb documentation once, and I'm not an Airbnb employee, but I wanted to fix something that they had wrong and contribute to open source. So I don't have access to their repo, right? I don't have direct access to push code. What I did there was I forked their repo, and then I made the changes on my copy on my fork, then pushed the changes to my forked copy, and then once I had fixed what I wanted to fix, then I reached out to them. Well, I actually opened a pull request, which ended up being, they acknowledged it, they replied back saying, oh, thank you for fixing that. That was a good fix, you're ready to go, and they combined my code with theirs. So for contributing to open source, most likely, you will be forking. So if you, let's say you discover a bug on Chrome or Node or Express, you don't have direct access to those repos. You will be forking the repo, fixing your thing, and then creating a pull request to get your code combined with theirs. Now here, we're going to be working as a closer team, right? And we want all of you to have access to the repo for pushing code, right? So now that you were added as contributors, you have that. So the next step that we're going to do is branching, basically. Oh, first, no, make sure that you clone. So make sure that you clone your partner's repo, the repo owner. Click on this red green button, clone and download. This is for everybody else. The repo owner already has this, so everybody else just clone this repo. Copy that. Maybe in your home folder, do git clone, and then the repo's owner URL. So in this case, because I created it, I'm not going to do it. But everyone else, do git clone with the URL you copied from here. Yeah, the person that created the repo doesn't have to clone, because you already have a local repo connected to it. Everybody else copies the repo from the on-site format. Second best way. Yes, the rest of the people for 40 days. 40 days? 40 days? No, not 12 months. He's never seen it.
He's not for like 4 months. 25 games. That's like 4 months. Or not 4. 2. So it's 82 games in the season. That's less.
Raise your hand if you haven't cloned, if you're cloned for some reason didn't work. Once you clone, verify, open the folder with VS Code, verify that you actually have the content of the file.
There should be top control application that understood what you're doing through this. You get the things that people tell you, and you use it for this stuff, but I'm sure you got it. Let's go, John.
You guys, I got a pull from Github once that did.
So this book is Java based. It's not bad. You guys similar to Github. It's also statically typed. So there's something.
Please recommend that somebody as soon as
Well, that's gonna get me I'm just so passionate about it. The most
Oh, everyone verified that you have index.js, that it has the content you expect it to have? Every single team member? Okay, so then to start working on, what we do is we get into branching. So what you want to do is, whenever you're coding in a team, you want to create a branch for any specific thing or feature of your app. So what we're going to do is create branches. So this is, do you remember when we talked about, with Ben, we talked about linked lists. We haven't talked about trees yet, right? Right, but the linked list is sort of like the similar approach. Or when we were looking at the DOM, and we said that the DOM is a tree, right? Where you're able to get like the parent node, the children nodes. So with Git, we actually have a tree as well. So far the code that we've been writing is more like a linked list where you have something that's pointing to something else, that's pointing to something else, that's pointing to something else. This here, these nodes on Git are known as commits. So here, most of you have something like this commit is like your initial commit, let's say, and then let's say you solve question 1 and you commit there, you solve question 2, you commit there, you solve question 4, and the last one, and a lot of you have seen that you put like completed lab or finished lab as the commit message. And so on. What we're going to do now is we're going to start to branch off from this. So what we're going to have is we're going to branch off, let's say, from here. So let's say somebody will work on the sum function. So this branch, oh, also I forgot to say, the main branch, the one that we've been working on for all this time is known as the master branch. So this here is like master branch. Once you branch off, you decide what name you want to do. So basically what we're going to do is something like this. So these are going to be, once you create a branch, you want the branch to be, to have the name of the thing that you're going to be working on. So first, let's say we can call this branch, let's call this sum function.
This branch is actually going to have only one commit because of the exercise that we're building here. But it could have as many commits. So let's say, imagine this function was like complicated, and you wanted to build it, break it down into maybe a few different pieces. Then you will add more commits to it. Like I said, another one here, and another one here. Say on here, you're done creating that function. What you want to do here is combine the work of this branch with master to like incorporate that code, these commits that you did here, to incorporate them with master. And what that ends up doing is, if nothing happened, so before we get into that, these are known as branches because, well, you can imagine that then you will have as many branches as features your app has. Right? In this case, we're going to have, like, since every one of you will be working on one specific function of this map module, we're going to have 4 branches. Each one of you will be working on one, depending on what function you're working on. So let's say that was the sum function branch. We create another branch here for somebody working on like the multiply. And let's say that imagining that is broken down into a few commits, we end up, let's say, with 2 commits. So we have 2 branches that branched off master. Most of the time you want to branch off master. You can have sub branches, but we're not, most of the time we're just going to be working like with 1 or 2 branches. Master and a feature branch. That's what these other branches are called, feature branches. So something that will happen is that then you branch off master, somebody coded the function, the sum function, somebody else coded the multiply function, and then the person who did the sum function wants to combine their code with the master branch. What that ends up looking like is a new commit is being made here, and then this one is sort of pointing to this. This is called a merge commit. Once you combine the code, this is known as a merge commit. This will be probably something like add sum function. So note that this was the add sum function commit. For the other person to combine, another new commit will be made, so like here, and this code will be put here. And then this commit will be sort of known as add the multiply function, and so on. Questions? Yes?
How do we make sure that we branch off the master?
Good question. So by default, you are on the master branch. Let's verify that next. But I think I saw it on here. Yeah.
So can you draw us like what is a merge conflict?
Yeah. So a merge conflict happens when, let's say there was. Oh, this is something that nobody should be pushing or modifying the master branch directly. The master branch should be modified by these merge commits that will be the result of somebody else reviewing your code and hitting the merge button. This happened when somebody reviewed your code. Sort of like at this point, you create a pull request, somebody looked at your code and said that was good to go, then that somebody that reviewed your code will hit the merge button on GitHub, and they'll end up like doing this, doing a commit to the master branch. So notice we shouldn't have commits around here. This means somebody touched master while somebody else was working on the sum function or the multiply function.
So the code be gone, deleted.
No, it won't be gone, but in here, if in one of these commits, I change something that somebody else was working on, then when I try to combine them, that's when the merge conflict is going to happen. Let's say here, I changed line 7 of index.js,
and this person here changed line 7 of index.js. Then when we get here, we try to combine. This actually is not going to happen. The combining of the merging will not happen because Git will complain saying, I don't know which one to pick. You need to go in and fix it. So yeah. Sometimes these things will happen, but just try to avoid any one team member committing directly to master. So going back to the question, and this is hard. Understanding this branching is hard. I still don't know all the ins and outs, and Git is very complex. There is actually this website called Oh Shit Git. You probably want to look at it and give it a read. There's this other website that I linked. I think I didn't link this one on the lecture notes. Maybe I could do it later. But here on the resources, there's this one that seems more tutorial-like and will walk you through how to do Git branching, committing. So I haven't done this one myself. I discovered it like yesterday. But it seems like a really good resource to getting more practice on this. So I'll definitely check it out. This is called learninggitbranching.js.org. And it's linked on the README. So let's create some branches. Or any questions before we move on? Yes, I mean.
Do you have to update your local report each time?
We're gonna get there. Yeah. So the question that Joey asked was, how do we know we're in master, and how do we branch off master specifically? So some of you, well, I have something installed that tells me what branch you're on, but you can still do it if you do git branch. Everyone does this. Do git branch. Git branch, and you should see master. Everyone should be seeing master. That is because, sort of like, currently we're all up here on the first commit. Right? This was the commit that we created with the name like my math module 1. My math module start file, something like that. So we're all currently here on the master branch. So to verify what branch you're on, you do git branch. To exit from here, in case you are sort of stuck here, you can just hit Q. Cool. So for branching off, you are going to do git checkout -b. And then before we do this, let's see, so that everyone does this differently. No, so it's sort of, this is how we are demonstrating. This is how you create a branch. Don't hit enter yet. So now then look, these are the functions that we're gonna implement. Sum, sub, multiply, and divide. So with your team members, agree on which one, on who is gonna do what function.
Okay, that's fine.
Should I do it again?
No, just wait and decide with your team which function you're gonna be doing.
Which one? That's like a different function.
You have to choose a function you want to do. I guess I'll do multiply.
Whatever you guys want.
Using sum. Oh, you did.
Cool. Everyone decided what function they're doing?
Yeah.
Cool. So then the first step is to create a branch for whatever you're going to be working on. So for creating a branch, I'm going to do git checkout -b. Let's say I'm going to work on the sum function. So I'm going to call this function. Remember that as I listed here, these are sort of some standards that we follow when we're branching off, which is branches. Use branches to develop a very specific thing, a feature of your app. Branches should be short-lived, meaning no too many commits should be at one single branch without combining those with master from time to time. And the name of the branch should be according to the feature of the app that you're going to be working on. So I'm going to call my branch git branch-b. I'm going to say the name of my function. In this case, I'm going to pick sum. And I'm going to say sum function dash branch. So just sort of be a little bit more specific. I'm going to be working on the sum function. And this is a branch. So you do that. Then you hit enter. And Git automatically switches you to a different branch. Sort of like going back to this. So now do git branch to see that you are actually now no longer a master. Yes.
Two people make the same narrow branch, like two separate branches, or those you get added to the one app. Like say Shalom made a div branch, then I did div branch, but I go to his branch, or would it be two div branches?
Will be two div branches, and when you try to combine them, you're gonna get a merge conflict. So did you check with git branch that you are no longer a master? Also, that star that you see on the branch. That lists all your branches. Git branch lists all your branches. When the star, the one that has the star, that's the one you want. You won't have it with the branches, you will have the combined So everyone sees that they're not on the master branch anymore? Yeah. Cool. So now, create a file with the name of your function. Since I'm doing sum, I'm going to create a file in the same folder called sum.js. Name yours according to the function you're creating. So I'm going to create sum.js. Then I'm going to go to VS Code. I'm going to write my function on sum.js. So write your function on whatever file you're working on according to the name of the function. So I'm going to do So code your function on a file with the same name of your function. Then after you have coded your function, make sure that since this is going to be a module, we want to export our function. So I'm going to say export our module.exports equals sum, so that this file exports my sum function. So do that with yours too. Make your function and export your function. And say the next thing is to git add your new file, commit it, and push it. You may wanna do git status just to verify.
It says like git push dash dash set something like that.
So let's wait, hold on there. So I'm gonna git add everything, git commit, say create some function. So I added all my files, in this case is some.js, then commit with a relevant commit message. And then what you will try to do is git push, right? Now, you're gonna get this error fatal. The current branch some function dash branch has no upstream branch. What this is saying is Git doesn't know where to push this branch to. And the reason why, well, we have never told Git to which branch this code should be pushed to. Most commonly, you're going to be pushing code that is on your local branch with the same name that you picked to a remote branch on GitHub with the same name. So this is also why we don't. Once you ask sort of Git to remember to what branch you're pushing code to, then you will just need to do git push, and Git will know to what branch to push. But the first time that you try to push, you have to tell Git where to push to. We can do that with this command that is suggested here, git push dash set upstream. And this command, set upstream origin some function. Remember that most of the time you're going to be pushing code to a branch, a remote branch with the same name as your local branch. So this code is the same as saying git push dash u origin some function. Dash u is just a short for set upstream. So it doesn't really matter which one you do, dash set upstream or dash u. I'm gonna do the second one. Now what this is doing is pushing my code to GitHub, and it's not pushing to the master branch. It's pushing to my branch. You can see here a new branch was created. A new remote branch was created. And my local branch was pushed to that remote branch. So now what we have is something like this. Now we have like whatever function you're working on, we created this commit that is like some function, add some function or whatever you message you specify, and we have this. It was pushed to that branch. Did anyone get an error here? Yeah. I did one command and canceled this one. I canceled this one and I executed this one.
Why did you do that?
Because I was trying to say that dash set upstream is the same as dash u.
Oh, the same command.
The same command, yeah. You only need to execute it once. Cool, so nobody got an error, that's good. Now, if you go to GitHub, to your repo, you're going to see and refresh the page of your repo. You then will use this thing here to see your remote branches, this thing here. Now, if I click on it, we have all the remote branches, including your collaborators. Are you all seeing each other's branch listed here?
Yes. And you in GitHub, you can go to there and see what they're working on. So what that means is that their code was pushed to your repo. They're all in different branches. This is what we want. So we basically have somebody with the sum function, somebody with the multiply function, somebody with the divide function, and so on. We have 4 branches total. This is how you will be working on the root project, most likely. It's just going to be, instead of function, it will be like an example branch for the group project could be, let's say, get all users route. So that is something that I'm in charge of. I'm going to branch off master with that name, get all users route, and then I'm going to be implementing that one specific thing in my own branch. Yes?
So, how is that a pull request?
We're going to see a pull request next. Cool. So let's just verify, or go on. Oh, somebody here didn't. Okay, no, it is there. Switch to your teammate's branch and see their code. Sort of. So now the next step is every one of you will create a pull request to combine your code with master. So for creating a pull request, you must be on your branch here. Actually, you don't need to be on your branch here, but it's good if you start with your branch being selected in this dropdown. And here, I'm going to do it on mine. Let me go back to mine. And in here, I'm going to go to my branch. And what I want to do is, once I'm in my branch, is everyone seeing like this button here? If you don't see it, that's fine. I'm going to show you how to do it without that button. What you do is you click on this button to create new pull request. So you do a new pull request. And this is to create a pull request somewhat similar to what you have been doing with your labs. But here, it's worth mentioning that we have these controls here. This is to what? Against what branch do you want to create a pull request? And this is from what branch do you want to create that pull request? So this is sort of saying, I want to combine my sum function branch with the master branch. Make sure that here you have selected your own branch. Yes?
Can you like combine branches?
Yes, you can combine branches, and then after they're combined with master. Mm-hmm. Yes?
Is there a reason to do that?
Combine.
To combine 2 branches?
Yeah, it will be mostly on larger projects where maybe you want to incorporate whatever somebody else was working on, because maybe let's say you're working on separate things, but they are somehow related, and you want to see how they interact with each other. you could just combine those two to see how they work well together, and then create a pull request with master to join to the main branch. So then once you do that, this is sort of for creating a pull request. Here, what I like to do is I like to tag people to review my code. So I'm going to ask Jar to review my code. Please review, something like that. And then I create the pull request. You hit this button, green button, create pull request. Then JR was notified of that I created this pull request because I tagged him. And then let's make sure that everyone creates a pull request to combine their code with master. Tag one of your teammates. Cool. Anyone's? If you create a pull request and for some reason you modify a file that somebody else modified, you are going to get a message from GitHub saying that there are some conflict you have to resolve. I think that's it's hard for us to get that message here. That's waiting so far. But make sure you have your code created. Now, check each other's pull requests. Verify each other's pull requests. So if you go to this tab here, you should see 3 pull requests from your teammates. Well, if you're a team of 3, you will see 2. No. Yep. So you should see, if you go here to the pull request, you see each other's pull request. Then this is where the person that will be in charge of the repo will then merge the code. But you want to make sure that everyone is reviewing each other's code. Like, don't let that just be the responsibility of the repo owner. So check each other's functions. To check a pull request, what you do is, while being in the pull request tab here, you just click on whatever pull request you want to review. And then here you can leave some functions. You can leave some comments, but you want to look at the code, right? For looking at the code, you have this tab here, Files Change. Click on that tab, Files Changed. And once you click on this tab, Files Changed, then you can see the code. If you modify more than one file, which is likely on the larger project that you're going to be working on, you're going to see all the files that were modified in a pull request here. Here, you can leave comments if you hover over like this line here, and you get that plus sign. So let's say you notice that your partner forgot to return. So I'm going to make sort of here the example of, I want to add a comment there and say, I always like to tag. So let's say this was Khadijah's. Khadija, I know that your file is correct. This is just a demonstration. Let's say, like, you forgot to return here. I'll do like please fix and notify me. And notify the team. Cool. So then you click start review. That's it. Not every time you have to add a comment. You know, if the code is all good, then it's all good. You'll probably just say, oh, good job, or it looks good to me, and that's it. And then click on finish your review. Here you have the option, we don't need to get into this, but here you have the option to like leave another comment or approve that pull request. And this is more sort of protocol. Or request changes here. So in this case, in this example where somebody like forgets to return, I'll probably send request changes and then submit review. Then Khadija was notified. She will fix it, and then I'll commit with the fix, and she doesn't need to create a pull request anymore because one was already created here. Once she fixes, another commit will appear here, or actually it will be like under here. Let's say she makes a commit saying fix return. Another commit will appear here, and then in that case we are good to go. Cool. So make sure you review everyone's code, see if if it looks good. Maybe leave a comment like it looks good to me. If it doesn't look good, leave a comment saying so.
You can't say it, bro. He's Canadian. Yeah, you know one big chair. Keep looking for the Japanese.
That's why it's so long.
Cool, everyone reviewed each other's code? Cool, so everything looks good. Then you're going to see, actually let me remove, if everything looks good, then somebody, let's say the repo owner, will then make the merge. Everybody else just stays, and the repo owner, whoever is in charge of the repo, will combine the code. So in this case, that will need to be, I think, Alessandra. So look, go to the Git, go to the pull request, and here you should have a button saying merge. Somewhere around here, you should have a button saying send merge.
So only the repo owner does this.
What's this?
Make sure you merge all the branches. The repo owner merges all the branches. These branches will, as you're working on your group project, will be happening not all at the same time, most likely. As soon as you see it,
Cool. Everyone merge
all the pull requests. You should be seeing, once you merge, you see the purple button saying merge. Now, once you refresh the page on pull requests, you should see now 0 because they were combined now in master. Make sure that now your pull request tab is at 0. This is all number merge or combine. Once you merge a pull request, they are automatically closed. So if you want to look at them, you will have to look at them here on the close part. Cool. Yep. You couldn't make a pull request, and if you don't have a branch, that means you're working on master, which is the start. Remember that all these steps are outlined a little bit in more detail on the repo in Canvas.
Yeah, I want to start. Because you can do that.
I see. You have to really invest in something.
Not yet. um, so
Just to reiterate, you will be pushing to not a fork copy of the repo, you will be pushing to the repos of
okay, so now your code that was combined, so now you have something like this. You have something like, imagine it, this is one branch, this is some branch, some other branch, and some other branch, where these have just one commit. What you end up with is whatever, whoever hit the merge button, what it did on GitHub is combine this work from this branch sort of here, and then that sum function work was integrated into master. When they hit merge for the multiply function, then another commit was put in here, and that work got combined, and so on for the others.
we end up with something like, let's say this one was here, and this one is here. So master is now with all the work combined. Now this master, the master that has all the work combined is on GitHub, not in our local machine. What we want to do is pull that from GitHub to our computer so that we are in sync. And why do we call them branches? Because if you do this long enough, you're going to see sort of like a tree forming. In fact, you can look at it here. If you go to Insights, but I need to go to a more interesting repo like this one. You go to Insights. This is just sort of to see it, but it is not really necessary. And you go to Network here. Insights and Network, you get this little graph, which is sort of what I've been trying to draw here. Yeah, the master branch is that red black line. There was a sum function branch, a divide branch, a mul function branch. We can see here that the mul function branch was merged first into here. The sum function was merged next, and the divide function was merged last. And at this point, master is at this commit, the last commit. In larger projects, this will be a little bit more, this will be bigger, right? But this is basically the same thing that we do when we're collaborating. So here you combine your work. Cool, any questions so far? Yes? Yes, so in here, the Insights tab, and then Network in this menu here on the left. Yep. Other questions? Cool. So now I said that this is what the tree looks like on GitHub. Now let's get our local copy updated with everyone else's code. So for doing that, I said that you do git pull because you're pulling from GitHub to your local computer. So you can just do. Yeah. So you're gonna do git pull while being in your same branch. Git branch. I'm currently in this branch, the one that has the star, my sum function branch. I'm going to incorporate in this branch all the stuff that was in master. So what we do is we do git pull origin master. Once you hit enter, this is, yeah, I don't have anything because I didn't create a pull request. But you should see some lines and some like plus signs with green. That is the new code was downloaded. And if you do ls now, you're gonna see your team members' files. This is how we collaborate. You did git pull origin master that literally pull your code from GitHub to your local computer. And if you do ls, you see your team members' files. Yes. Everyone saw their team members' files. So this is the flow that you will be working on for working in a team. Try to be working on different files. This will require, and something that we have been stressing about team communication, right? If you're not communicating, you're going to have a lot of merge conflicts, and they're not that fun, especially if they're big. So everything was combined in master. If you do, let's say, so we're done with this branch. We want to go back to master, let's say, and then let's say I'm going to work on a new function that will maybe elevate a number to a base to a power,
right? So let's say the next function that I'm going to be working is a function to elevate a number to a power, right? So what you do is you switch back to master, git branch, no, actually git checkout master. This will switch from my current branch to the master branch. You do git checkout master. That says switch to branch master. Yes?
So you get back in, do the same thing, but you can check out and name the branches.
But note here that well, I don't have any file because I didn't actually get pull requests. But if you do ls, you're going to see that the files from your team members are not there. Or you get this message that people ask. Can you say that louder?
Your version of the branch or
So you probably get a message saying your branch is behind origin master by X number of commits. That is saying your local master branch is not up to date with the remote or origin master branch. So what we want to do here is to also incorporate the changes that we have currently in master is do git pull origin master again. And yeah, mine says already up to date because again I don't have pull requests, I don't have any new code, but now you should see the files, the new files, some green pluses indicating how many new lines were added. And if you do ls now, you see all the code. You see your team member's code. Yes.
So what's the difference between this one and the previous one? When we saw the green houses before.
So there is no difference. We actually didn't need to do the earlier one because we were just gonna like terminate that branch there. We could have just come back to master and branch off again. Yeah. Something that I forgot to mention is before you create a pull request, you are supposed to pull from master. So right before you create a pull request, and what you want to do that because just to verify that. So let's say we're here. Let's say we are here. The sum function was merged with master, and we're currently here. And let's say it took me longer to build a multiply function, right? So what I would like to do is get whatever master has, just to make sure that my multiply function works with whatever master has. In this case, these functions don't have anything to do with each other, and there is not going to be any conflicts. But what you want to pull from master to your local branch before you create the pull request, because more often than not, they are going to be some, you're going to be working on related files, and they might interact with each other. So you want to pull just to make sure that the code that you wrote here works with whatever the last up-to-date master has. In this case, master will have the sum function. So before you create a pull request, you want to make sure that you pull first. We couldn't do it like here because we were basically doing it all at the same time. But here, more often, what you will do is, so you're here, and you haven't created a pull request yet. The sum function was merged, and what you do is you pull from master. What that will do is something like this, like creates a commit here, and it sort of brings this in here. So sort of incorporating what master had into my own feature branch. And then here, ultimately, I'm going to create a pull request to master, creating that third commit.
But again, you want to pull from master. This is something I'm just gonna keep saying as you're working um, on your group projects. Just sort of try to remember to. This is specified in the README. Try to remember to pull before you create the pull request. Pull from origin master before you create the pull request. Just to make sure that your code works with whatever is currently in master. Pull from origin master before you create the pull request. Remember that, like, pull, think of pull and merge as both are combining. Cool. So last thing is just to, like, for you to see your first merge conflict. What we're going to do is, let's say you are all in master, right? You're all in the master branch. So I'm going to create a branch now. Git checkout -b. I'm going to call this branch add my function. Let's call it something like add some to index. So what I want to do is in this branch, so create that branch, whatever function you had, and now go on to index.js and add your function to the math object. Yes?
Is there a problem if if more than one person makes the same name branch?
Yeah, so yes, there will be a problem once you try to push to GitHub. Because if somebody else already created that branch with the same name, then GitHub is going to say something like unrelated histories.
Is that case sensitive?
It's case sensitive, yes. Mm-hmm. So to index.js, now add your own function here to the math object. So there's some. Oh, first you want to make sure you import at the top, like const sum equal require sum, or actually current folder sum.js. So first import your function, and then add it here, sum colon sum. Oh, add a comma after pi. So add your own function, something like this. And add only your own function. Need to import it, and then add it as a property on the math object. Now save that file. Save that file. Git commit, git add, git push. git add, git commit, git push. That is a very common pattern.
Do you want us to pull first?
Yeah, totally good. Now, if you haven't pushed, well, actually, it doesn't matter if you pushed. Pull from master. Pull from being in your current branch, which is in my case is add some to index. Do git pull origin master. That is to incorporate any changes that might have gone onto master up before this point. Yeah.
This was the git push dash u origin.
Yeah. Remember that the first time you're pushing, you're gonna need to tell Git to what branch you're pushing. What does it say? Then now, once you push your branch, go to GitHub, verify that you have that your code was modified. The first time you push, you need to tell Git to where you're pushing. You do that with git dash git push dash u origin, whatever name of the branch, or what is the same, which is git push dash that set upstream origin master, or origin whatever branch you picked. Say that again?
If you don't see it, you get up. Are you supposed to get a
You should. What do you mean if you don't see what on GitHub?
You should see now your branch.
Oh.
No, only your own. Only your own.
Yeah, well, you gotta.
But that's because the name of the branch is not the same.
Yeah.
You add that branch. Oh, that's because you guys speak the same. suppose you have your own branch.
I accidentally created some. I didn't push it.
Somebody pushed an add. Somebody pushed an add onto the next branch.
Actually, some too. Are you guys switch? Or you can just use I mean, I always needed some too, but I
Cool. Now, review each other's pull requests, and you'll probably see some merge conflicts. Once you merge the first, you'll review each other's pull requests. The repo owner merges. Review each other's pull requests, and the repo owner merges. So, getting ready to merge one, and then you got the other second. Yeah.
We're supposed to make a pull request and add my function, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here it is.
We're gonna do that next time. But on the second one, there will be. Once you try to merge the second.
Press the green button again.
Say that again.
Press the green button again.
Yeah. Try to make the second one, and you're gonna see the merge. Everyone review their team members code, where all the pull requests merge. Did anyone merge the first pull request? And try to merge the second pull request. Remember that this is something that the repo owner does. Then after you merge the first pull request, once you try to merge the second one, you're going to see that you have some merge conflicts. You can work with those.
So you told me I had to like edit this.
Just to add your own, and then
What would you do like?
no, wait. So you have a merge conflict. You try to merge the second one first.
I don't know what you mean by second one.
So go to pull request. And try to merge one more.
So everyone merged the first pull request.
Everyone must have the first pull request merged.
Did you fix mine?
Starting out, ending up, that's what the problem is. So the first one is this. We fix it, you see
You guys see the merge conflict with
Seeing changes.
You guys see what was it section?
I missed the last part. We're not working today? We're doing some shit tomorrow.
So Git checkout is how you change branches. So the Git checkout, whatever branch you want to go to. Yeah. That's because you hadn't pulled. Okay, so everyone saw the merge conflict? Raise your hand if you saw the merge conflict. Okay, so let's see how to work through that. So I guess I'm gonna go to Alessandra's, see the pull request. So let's look at the second pull request. But first, why do we have a merge conflict here? Based on what I said earlier. Why do we have a merge conflict? Because the first pull request changed index.js on line probably on line 11, right? The first pull request changed index.js on line 11. Now the second pull request, after the first one was incorporated, is trying to modify the same line. That's why we get the merge conflict, because the first pull request
modifying line 11, and the second one is try to modify line 11 again. In this case, with the word multi. Yeah. Yes.
Does it only happen if there's more than one pull request at a time? Or like, what if you do a pull request resolve and do another one? Does the same conflict?
You're not gonna have conflicts as long as you're not touching the same lines of code. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
No, I think I was asking if, okay, somebody makes a pull request and they change the line, and then that process is resolved. So if I make another one and I change the same line, is there a conflict or not?
If you change the same line, there will be a conflict, yes, because master already has something on line 11, and you're trying to change line 11 again. Yeah. So what you need to do in that case is pull from master so that you get line 11 that master had, and then you add your line in line 12 instead of line 11. Yeah. Cool. So for working through this merge conflict, if you go to, first let's look at it here. So you're gonna get this message. This branch has conflict that must be resolved. Only those with right access can do this. That is because I'm not a contributor on Alessandra's repo. But you probably see a button here, right? Saying resolve merge conflict. So you could do this on GitHub, or you could do it in the terminal. I guess I'm going to need, Alessandra, could you add me as a collaborator to your repo so that I can demonstrate that here and we can see it all? Settings, collaborators, my username is Alejo43. Yes?
My code, my VS Code automatically did something.
When you pull, right?
Yeah. So should I edit it here or should I do it in terminal? Or?
It doesn't really matter. I prefer the VS Code way. 4373. Let's do it. Maybe let's do one on GitHub and another one with VS Code. Cool. Thanks. Let's see, maybe I do have access now. So let's go to pull request, modification to index. I haven't received the invitation. The class? This one?
No, you're right about that.
Okay. Okay, I got it. Cool. So we're back on track. So I'm here in the repo of Alessandra's, and we're gonna see how to resolve a merge conflict. So I'm gonna go to pull request, then look at a pull request that has a merge conflict. And here you can, let's do this one here first. You hit resolve conflicts. And then here you are seeing this, or something similar. This greater than sign. And so there is like this less than sign, greater than sign, and some equals, right? What this means is these are the incoming changes with the less than sign, incoming changes, and these are the changes that are there. So what we can see here, or what this is trying to show us, is that the divide function is there on what was line 11. Now we have to combine these two. So what we can do here is, once you're solving this, you want to get this. Solving a merge conflict might be easy if it's something like this, or it might be more complex, maybe even affecting a couple different files. When a merge conflict is more complex, you want to make sure that you solve the merge conflict as a team and notify everyone once it's done so that everyone gets a fresh copy of the resolved conflict. Because, you know, maybe if you solve the merge conflict yourself, thinking, oh, this is the best way to solve this, then you might end up breaking their code once they were assuming it was coded a certain way, for instance. So here, what we can do is look at what the differences are. So this is the incoming changes, and these are the changes that are there. And here, what we want to do is just combine these two. So what we can do here is, I'm going to add the multiply. Well, the way in which you combine these is you could just get rid of this. You want to make sure that you remove these sort of separators. So I'm going to get rid of this. Oh, actually not. No, the comment must be there. Right, so what we need to do, wait, let me just verify that the file that we have here. Let's just verify index.js, because according to this, oh, so index.js from the get-go didn't have, this is why this merge conflict is a little bit more, the one that you might have seen is like just 1 or 2 lines, right? This one is a little bit more. That's because the person that created the index.js didn't add the comment, and the other person did add the comment at the top. But let's solve that. So let's go to pull requests, multiplication to index, file changed. Actually, no, conversation, resolve the merge conflicts. So the file that is the currently file on master is this one. This one. You can tell by the greater than signs. And then there's this separator. So what we want to do is combine these two. So what we're gonna do is remove this here. We know that we're gonna need to the multiply, the divide. So I'm gonna cut this from here and paste it in here. You literally go in and change the file. Oops. Change that there. Let's get rid of, well, we need this multiply. So cut this there, put it in here. Make sure to add the comma. And then get rid of this part. Oh, somebody, whoever wrote the index.js in here didn't put the full pi number. So this also constitutes as a merge conflict. So let's incorporate this here. Get rid of the all one. And then let's get rid of the separator. Leave math. Was there a space between the comment and math? Let's see. I think there was no space. Cool. So you do this and then you hit mark as resolved and commit merge. So that committed that merge. So now we resolved the merge conflict. A new commit was made where the file was where the conflict was resolved, and we unified the two files into one. Now, what we could do is for the second pull request. Oh no! So once we solve the merge conflict, then we can merge the pull request. So Alessandro, you do this. Click on the merge pull request here. And then confirm that merge. So that was merged. So now there's a few approaches to solve like merge conflicts. We could just keep going here. If I go to pull request now, and I don't know, we'll have merge conflict. You could just hit resolve here. And sort of do the same thing to resolve the conflicts. Where basically here, this is saying this is the conflicting code, and I don't know, Git is saying I don't know how to combine that with this other part, basically. So this, let's say, who else is in your team? I think Malik and Khadija, right? So Khadija, you fix this pull request. You click on resolve and then combine the two. So do this with your group, or this can be done by anyone. Make sure that only one person do it.
That one?
No, it's actually
Oh, Jenkins. That's a software, right?
yeah, it's
Automation server. I don't think so. Java. Wait, hold on. What's the website? We'll have the automation of that. Not yet, Jason.
So everyone has no merging conflicts anymore. All the code was merged. Raise your hand if we need more time for solving all the conflicts. Cool.
So all pull requests should be merged and all conflicts should have been resolved.
I love fucking with you, bro. Relax. Oh, actually not. That's pretty close. Yeah, so you did, not we. He did. We did enough. You did. That's so humble.
It looks a little bit better. Well, I guess it has pros and cons. You have to scroll more. You have to scroll more. At least for the main things is good. Okay, everyone has no
Merging conflicts.
Let me see. Please go home and do something. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Looks cool. Sunset. I want to see any like creature or want to see scenery. Okay. When you use what's that shit called? Follow it. Keep it simple. She changed the background. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Mellow, chill, relaxation. I'm truthfully like chill. I want this. Oh, yellow. What's it called? Yellow.
Oh, I see. Just like as an accent.
Color emotions down.
Oh, it's a shirt. This is a shirt.
Yellow, optimism. Orange, friendly. Red, bold, excitement. Purple, creative. Blue, trust. Like I said, green, peaceful, chill.
Are the merge conflicts solved? You guys have the merge conflicts solved?
Yeah.
Go here. What do you guys?
Do we do that?
Yeah, me too. I fucks with them. And I fucking hate this. Blue. Trust. Sorry. Trust. Black. Sophistication. I mean, that's right. Orange. Faithfulness. Nickelodeon. Pink. Femininity. Love. Purple. That's true. I can see that. Cash. Green. Love. Nature. Universality. Inertia. And I can see like all green tea, green. But cheese that shit, bro. I don't see a top.
Cool. Everyone has the merge conflicts cleared out. I was glad to see that some of you were already like talking to your team members about how to solve the conflict, just to double check and verify. For complex merge conflicts, you want to make sure that that conversation happens. Don't just merge a code the best way you think it should be merged, because you don't know what your team member is relying on. So make sure that at least the two files, the two branches that have the merge conflict, at least the people involved with those files, with those branches, have a conversation about how the code should be merged. Cool. So once you are all merged, we forgot earlier that once you merge a branch, you can just remove it, completely delete it. So let's do that next. I'm going to I'm gonna clone. I'm gonna clone Alessandro's here. I'm gonna remove my own just so that I clone Alessandro's. You don't need to do this. So now let's say you're done with your branch. Now go back to master with git checkout master.
Go back to master, git checkout master. you're going to see the message from Git saying your branch is behind by X number of commits. And Git checkout master. As you do Git checkout master, you might see a message saying your branch is behind origin master by X number of commits. Yeah, you can do multiple origins. Multiple origins.
You keep doing that shit too? Likewise. I just want something on this scene about.
We can't send on the scene.
Can't do shit, bro. That's not bad either. I play some of this. Yeah, I don't know. Keep don't change it. Yeah, don't change it. I can see that. I play with that too. Kids, what's that?
You can also into this part in your team.
We got like smash.
Yeah, that's part of the That's because you guys have uncommitted changes, so you push this file to GitHub, and then you modify a space. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not similar to that.
Did you
Add.
It's gonna be like look on the thing, refresh the page. People just like the branches that want to. Oh, I found a spot. Yeah.
So, any questions or anybody needs help? So everyone is on master branch. Did you do git pull origin master to get the latest, freshest copy? Make sure you do git push, git pull origin master while being in master, just to make sure that you have the freshest copy. And I almost said coffee. And then if it says already up to date, then you're good. Then this is just the flow. You then repeat from here. Create a branch, add a new whatever else you're going to be working on. Push that branch. Create a pull request. Somebody looks at your pull request, approves it, and merges it. If there's conflict, you resolve the conflicts, and so on. The last thing that we're going to see is just how to remove branches that we're done with. For removing a branch, you do git branch dash capital D and then the name of the branch. So let's say I'm going to remove, I don't know what the branches of this repo are. There's only master. When you do git branch, you see your own branches, right? So you just do git branch dash D, capital D, and then the name of the branch you want to remove. I'm not going to do it because I don't have any other branches here. And you should only remove your own branches. Don't remove your team members' branches because they're going to be mad at you.
You're not able to do anything to the master.
Make sure you remove the two branches you created.
I just was doing the skip like this.
Yeah. To be honest, it's more important. We got time enough. Looks cool.
No. The first one was
So that's it for today. I didn't expect this to take that long. You have 19 minutes. Make sure you have your project signed off from us. If you don't have that, make sure you create that card that I asked you for yesterday. With the name Get Signed Off, you have tagged one of us. Then we're going to check your Trello board and we're going to give you the OK for start coding. If you are ready to receive the OK, then you have 18 minutes to keep planning and maybe start coding. Yeah.
So for some groups, I actually marked up the Trello. What are some of the things that you're missing?
So remember to check your cards, the one that you said get signed off. JR has left some comments from those people that need to improve something before they truly get signed off. So you sort of got a revision. But make sure.
Do you have the card that you tagged us?
Respect culture.
That's fine. What was this? Okay, then we're gonna get to it, and then you okay.
Someone about, I've only been able to, I took it online for about how to. I don't know if it's proper, to, because I've been related, I was pulling it blind. Literal instances. So I don't like one line of code as a code allows it, and everything I built
I added to the
sort of built the idea of a nested thing that I've now gone back to.
we want the
You don't roll anything, so like for a single file, there's an idea of
So this is a way that all of it I really check off.
generally you don't have to do something like this, but it all has to do this. But something, like defining the connection string. There's no more like instantiate database. Energy. Yeah. You don't have to do this to this level. General advice. That doesn't mean Cool. If you have questions about, you're going to have questions about branches, about merging, just like reach out to us when that happens. That's it. I'm going to be reviewing boards, and we're going to comment on the card that you left us. Something like, okay, you're good to go, maybe an emoji that you're good to go, etc. So you will be notified of that. But that's pretty much it for today. Everyone should be signed off by tomorrow. Tomorrow, everyone should be signed off. So make sure that if you receive feedback that you need to improve something, you do that now. Or if you haven't created that sign-off card, make sure you create that now.